I want to welcome you to the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. Here's today's question. At what point was Satan kicked out of heaven? Also, when were the angels created? Well, even though it's two questions, they are related because whom we know as Satan at one point, according to Ezekiel chapter 28, was a cherub, which is a classification of the angelic beings. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In Job chapter 38, verse 7, it says that the sons of God, or the angelic beings, they celebrated when what we know as the creative order came into being. Now, that being said, we know that the angelic beings, whether they be cherubim, seraphim, or just a generic angel, they are not a part of the Godhead. So therefore, they are created. In fact, Ezekiel 28 says that Satan was created. So when the Bible says in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created, that means that the angelic beings did not exist until the second part of that verse. He created the heaven and the earth. So I would argue that what we know as any angelic being, whether they be a cherubim, a seraphim, a watcher, or just a generic one, was somehow a part of verse 1. Okay, so that answers the second question. Now, the bigger question is, when did Satan fall? Well, he did not fall before Genesis 1:1 because he did not exist before Genesis 1:1. We know that he was fallen before Genesis 3:1 because in that verse it says, and the serpent that was more subtle than any beast of the field. So he was created in Genesis 1:1. We know he has fallen in Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Here's the big issue. At what point in the, quote, previous two chapters did he fall? Some people claim it was right before chapter 3. Other people claim it was actually in verse 2 of chapter 1. Here's what we do know. At some point between the creation of all things and the temptation of man in the Garden of Eden, he fell. Lots of evidence on multiple different opinions. I hate to do this to you on YouTube, but this would make a great Wednesday night question. Great question. If you have one, send to AskJeff.net. Maybe your question be tomorrow's. Thank you so much for being a part of our daily question here at the Ask Jeff YouTube channel. I want to encourage you on a few things. Number one, if you have a question to ask, submit it to AskJeff.net. Eventually, we'll get around to your question. Secondly, we'd encourage you to subscribe. That way, each and every day, Monday through Friday, you get a reminder of our question of the day. And last but not least, I want to remind you that on Wednesday evenings, live at First Baptist Church of Opelika, FBCOpelika.com, we do a solid hour of Ask Jeff where we dig into the questions more than just 60 or 90 seconds. Sometimes we take the entire hour. All that being said, AskJeff.net is where you submit a question to this channel each and every day, Monday through Friday.